Things started out great for the Spark on Shrine in the first Nepal map. The Spark were able to cap the first point quickly. The Graviton Surge and Self-Destruct combo from Kyungbo, Godsby Kim, and Seongwook Ria Park, they were able to get a major pick on Seonghoon Ivy Lee. This pick caused the Defiant to lose confidence and they were unable to group up afterward properly. This allowed the Spark to maintain control of the point and they took Shrine easily. Unfortunately for the Spark, things started to turn in the Defiant's favor on Village. After getting caught off guard by a creative rotation for the Defiant, Spark lost Junki Bazi Park early on in the team fight. This pick allowed the Defiant to overrun the Spark and cap the point.
Zhu Guxue Quinlan initiated the Spark's first push to cap with a questionable Earth Shatter. Luckily, the Spark were able to capitalize on it as Toronto did not have a sound barrier available to save the team. Once they capped the point, the Spark moved the fight up to the high ground. There, Godsby had a massive Graviton Surge that captured 5 people, but the Spark were too spread out to get any value out of it. The poor positioning allowed Toronto to wipe them and they were able to flip the point back in their favor. In the end, Village would ultimately belong to the Defiant. Finally on Sanctum, Hojin IDK Park got a great boop on Gwangmu, Yakpeng Zhou, and Dohung Stellar Lee before the point unlocked. The Spark managed to maintain their hold on the cap until 25% before the Defiant were able to flip it. Even though Guxue picked off Jo Sung, Roki Park, and Stellar with Primal Rage, the Spark were unable to capitalize on those kills, despite Ivy wasting Graviton Surge. IDK had another great boop on Stellar and Ivy, but John K. Envy Lee shut down IDK, who did his best to hold on to the point. The Defiant ended up taking Nepal on a score of 2-1.
King's Row would see the Spark defending first. Although Bebe got the first pick on Roki, the Defiant still managed to roll through the Spark's defense. The Defiant were extremely successful in keeping the Spark staggered on King's Row. This allowed them to easily push the payload all the way to the end of the map. For attack, the Spark decided to get creative with their team composition. Quad DPS is not something that the current meta allows to happen very often. With Bebe on Hangzhou, Godsby on Pharah, Bazi on Widowmaker, and Rhea on Soldier, fans tentatively accepted what was happening on their screens. If there is anything that the Chinese expansion teams are great at, it's making creative compositions work in their favor. While Godsby got 2 kills with his rocket barrage, Stellar managed to kill him, which briefly caused the Spark to pull back. With one last aggressive push and a critical pick on Sihyun Neko Park, the Spark managed to cap the point. Unfortunately for the Spark, running quad DPS would not be enough. Eventually, Hangzhou reverted back to goats, but this move would not work out for them either. With mere seconds left until overtime, Guxue died with Shatter, and the rest of the team followed suit. Rhea did his best to stay on the card for as long as possible, but the Spark were unable to get back in time. The Toronto Defiant won King's Row on a score of 3-1. On Volskaya, the Spark would end defending first again. Although Rhea had a great self-destruct that ended up taking down 2 members of Toronto, the Spark still managed to lose the point. Rhea really stood out on Volskaya as he managed to eat 2 of Ivy's grabs, the first one on point A and again on point B. Unfortunately, the Defiant kept getting excellent value out of their ultimates. Constantly getting key picks on IDK, the Defiant were able to cap the second point quickly. When it came time for the Spark to attack, they decided to go with the Winston Goats on their attempt to push. It took quite some time, but the Spark were able to eventually cap point A with a Hail Mary attempt in which the team used every ultimate they had. After capping, Guxue would switch on to Reinhardt, and the Spark once again struggled to push back the Defiant's defense. Unfortunately for the Spark, Envy dropped a disgusting self-destruct on them that resulted in the death of 4 players. Envy was quite proud of his successful self-destruct, and fans couldn't help but laugh along with him as he celebrated with the little victory dance. The Spark would only succeed in capping point B after using all of their ultimates in a second Hail Mary attempt. The Spark's final chance at attacking on Volskaya would not work out in their favor. With their time bank working against them, the Spark were only able to get 1 tick during their last push. Miraculously, even though the Defiant only needed that single tick to secure the victory, the Spark were somehow able to hold them back. Volskaya ended in a draw 2-2. After drawing on Volskaya, fans could tell that the Spark were feeling the pressure of possible defeat. Their opponent's confidence broken, the Defiant easily rolled through the Spark's defenses and pushed the payload all the way to point C. Doing their best to rally back, the Spark managed to push their payload to point A. Things quickly turned sour for them as Guxue got too aggressive and took Envy into the canal with him. That left the backline defenseless. In an attempt to save him, IDK found himself alone and out of position. Managing to speed his
his way back onto the back lines, Roxy followed him, and a hilarious Lucio battle ensued on the sidelines as the Defiant took out the Spark one by one. With the Defiant spawn camping, the Spark decided to sneak around Toronto and get back to pushing the payload. This move confused the Defiant and the Spark, gaining their confidence, ended up pushing the payload to the end. With one last shot at attacking, the Spark faced an unusual loss early on. Somehow, IDK managed to die while wall riding around one of the buildings. His death caused the Spark to take pause and regroup, leaving them with even less time to push. They managed to get to the payload just shy of point A, which is pretty admirable considering their time bank. Unfortunately, the Defiant proved to be too strong for the Spark, and the Defiant won on a final score of 4-3. Unfortunately for the Hangzhou Spark, this is the end of their Stage 1 journey. With this loss, the Spark are officially out of the running for the playoffs. Although Hangzhou had a disappointing end to what started as an extremely promising stage, Sparks fans will be proud of what the Spark managed to accomplish. Next stage, the Spark will take what they learned and hopefully come back stronger than ever. The Toronto Defiant won on a final score of 3-0.
If you love great Overwatch League content, make sure to leave us a thumbs up, subscribe, and hit that bell icon. Now, from our house to yours, thanks for watching.